Oh dear, where to begin with this one, folks? I mean, you're not going to believe this. To be fair, I don't know why I was kind of optimistic when going in to watch this film. I mean, almost any modern big movie about the Catholic Church was probably always going to get riddled with some kind of political agenda of the day, right? Of course it was going to get the woke treatment. I mean, how else was it going to go? We're talking today about the movie Conclave, starring Ralph Fiennes, John Lithgow, Sergio Castellitto, Stanley Tucci, and Isabella Rossellini. It was directed by Edward Berger, the screenplay was written by Peter Strahan, and the film is based on the book Conclave by Robert Harris. And although I could see elements of messaging in the plot about how a liberal church is better than a traditional conservative one, we'll get to that in a moment, and that was wince-inducing enough, I was not prepared for the ending, however. I mean, I was legitimately moved to actual fits of laughter at the brass brazen neck of the filmmakers to actually end the movie the way they did. I mean, it's so current year, it's so stunning and brave, needlessly so. It's so completely out of left field and unbelievably on the nose, clunky and ridiculous. I mean, it has no relevance to the story other than to deliver basically another kick at the Catholic Church by introducing something that's more liberal, right? I mean, at the end of the movie, I was literally sitting there going, I cannot believe they ended it like that. I mean, how could they do this? I mean, really? So I'll spoil the ending and save you 2 hours of your life. The film is based in Rome. There's a papal conclave taking place that's organized to help elect a new pope because the pope has died. And there's all sorts of very melodramatic political scheming and scandals among the various competing cardinals. Long, drawn-out, meandering, slow-paced, boring story short, the film ends with the victorious cardinal, Benitez, being declared the winner. He's going to be the next pope, but first, a final surprise revelation about him. It turns out that he was due to undergo a procedure in a medical clinic. A laparoscopic hysterectomy. Yes, you heard me correctly. He was due to have a laparoscopic hysterectomy. I didn't say vasectomy, I said hysterectomy, because it turns out the Pope is not actually a man, but actually a biological female. And I'm not kidding. It's unreal, isn't it? I mean, they just threw that in there at the end of the movie, and it's so out of left field. It has nothing to do with the story. It doesn't even have very much to do with the character's story arc at all. It's just so current year. It's just like the message just can't not infect absolutely everything, it seems. Now, putting aside that utterly cringe ending, if you can, the film itself, the rest of it, is fairly dull overall, I would say. Performances are good. I mean, it's a good cast, but it's a plodding movie. It's very well shot and directed, but its pacing and narrative progression make it a chore to watch. The characters also aren't particularly flattering for men of such senior positions within the Vatican. These men are riddled with self-doubt, doubt about their beliefs and faith, and lacking in conviction. None of them could be seen as role models or inspirational Catholics. Some of them are embroiled in financial scandals, romantic affairs, and so forth, and the lies and deceit and political backbiting just descends into soap opera before too long. Sure, whenever there's going to be a lot of power in an institution, it's going to be rife for corruption eventually, and the Catholic Church isn't immune to that either. Of course, there have been scandals in the Catholic Church over the years, but at the same time, the Catholic Church has been seriously maligned and kicked by the left for a long time now, to further undermine and discredit it, of course, and there's been moves for a long time to liberalize the Catholic Church, just as any other institution gets liberalized eventually, just as other denominations of Christian churches have also succumbed to some degree of liberalization. This is not something that should ever happen, of course, because an institution like the Catholic Church, or any Christian church, should remain unchanging, because values, traditions, principles, and morals are supposed to be timeless and universal. They don't change. They're not supposed to change. And when they do, the institution isn't the same afterwards. nor is the faith, and nor are its people. We've seen the relentless march of liberalism in the real world, and it's tried to undermine Christianity by attacking the Catholic Church as the most influential institution of the faith, by trying to change it into something that it's not, by making it adopt to modern liberal sensibilities. That's not what it's supposed to be. Basically, the main character, Cardinal Lawrence, and his closest friend, Cardinal Bellini, want a progressive, forward-thinking, liberal future for the Church. Bellini is pro-gay, pro-divorce, and against large families, and never wants to return to the Latin liturgy. He's in favour of tolerance and respecting other views and faiths, and in favour of women playing more of a role in the Church. Lawrence also speaks about how variety and diversity is the strength of the Church. By contrast, Cardinal Tedesco preaches a message of conservatism and tradition. He doesn't want the Church to succumb to tolerance and progressive values. He wants a strong Church, one that doesn't break bread with rival religions. He's especially animated after a recent terrorist attack. But the central message of the film is clear. What's being pushed is a pacifist, wishy-washy, tolerant, liberal Church, and how that's better for some reason. And that's basically the narrative. Now, at the same time, I'm going to say that as someone who was raised a Catholic, I'm not really a fan of the concept of the Vatican and a Pope at the centre of the belief system. This idea that a single human being can be God's representative on earth. I think faith is a personal thing, and I don't really connect with what goes on in Rome, I have to say. I see this as a very alien, sort of esoteric pageantry and political bureaucracy with structures and hierarchies that seem very far removed from the concepts of God and spirituality. It's also the reason I didn't mention the Pope and the Vatican in my recently released sci-fi detective mystery novel that explores AI and the second coming of Christ.
Dave, if you shill Deus V Machina one more time...
Okay. I won't say that it's available from Amazon from the link below or anything. By the way, it's gone to #1 already in the category of religious intolerance and persecution. I actually have no idea why or how it found its way into that particular category on Amazon, considering there's no religious intolerance and persecution in the book. But hey, it's still technically an Amazon bestseller.
Still counts. It still counts.
I'll take it. Every win's a win. By the way, it's been described as being like Blade Runner meets Chinatown with elements of Dan Brown, so...
Dave, I'm hovering over the unsub button.
Sorry. It's linked below, though. Anyway, finally, I'll say that Conclave feels like an unnecessary dig at the Catholic Church and is 2 hours of my life I'm never going to get back. Thanks very much for watching. Take care, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.